This is part 2 of a video series that is entitled Homemade Antique Shaper. There was so much interest in the first part that I decided to make another part with a little bit more detail, and then there might be a third part if I ever get the thing running where it'll cut material, cut steel or aluminum. I'll run one on that. I have no intentions of totally restoring this to the level that you see some people restore machine tools. I just cleaned it up a little bit and hope to get it running. I'm not even going to knock all the rust off. I'm not too interested in doing that type of laborious chore, but I wanted to show you a few other details on this machine that kind of is amazing as I examine it more closely. And now I'm in the heated basement because the cold weather is coming here in Illinois. I took the vise off the machine to show it to you, and it is a little project in itself that a fellow might spend a week making. We have 1.5-inch wide jaws and a little hand wheel here to tighten it. Some of the parts are necessarily made out of proportion. In other words, you got to have a handle that's big enough to actually tighten the vise. If you look at the bottom, you'll see that the old master craftsman had brazed this piece on here and then machined it off. Cute little thing too. In real good shape, no damage to it. We got a little bit of slop in the jaw here. I'm not sure if he designed it that way to hold irregular pieces or not, but real cute little thing. I removed the ram because I'm going to build a little bit of a clapper box here, I hope, and take my dimensions off this, make it to fit. We're missing a knob here, which I probably will just put a little hex head or something on there, because that's about a number 8 thread on there. If you look on the bottom, you see this T-bolt that allows you to change the length of the stroke, and I'll show you on the machine here in a second where that goes. And that's a pretty nice assembly. And look at that, a little tiny dovetail. Not as small as a gun sight, but yet nevertheless we're talking about pretty close tolerances that needed to be machined in order to make that thing fit. And we got a hex bolt here and one on the other side that would allow you to tilt the entire head, just as it can be done on a full-size shaper, and we can swing it right here too with that little slot. Pretty snazzy. The T-bolt that I just showed you would go into this T-slot that you see in this piece, and that in turn would allow you to position the ram way out here or farther back, or wherever you wanted it to be positioned. There's a 3-hour job right there just in that one piece. These pieces here, I'm not sure what you call them, but they're made of brass. Just the top part here is brass, bolted with 5 cap screws on each side. And a real nice fit there, because you're going to have chatter and problems if you got any kind of slop in there. I've forgotten what the correct name for this is, but I think we used to call it a knee or a box. We've got T-slots here, 1, 2, 3, 4, where you could hold the work directly on this surface with little T-bolts and clamps, or use the vise. And the same was true on full-size machines. This entire box here can also be rotated, and there's a bolt in here where I'm sticking my finger that you could loosen, and then this thing would swing one way or the other, a full 90 degrees if you wanted it to. As shown in the earlier video, this box here can be moved back and forth, right to left, either with the hand wheel, and I showed you before the power feed there, which was very intricate, and it rides not on dovetails but on this machine slide. Similarly, the entire unit here, whatever we want to call this, can also move up and down on these surfaces. There's no power feed for that. Again, we can move up and down by turning this little screw here, which I'm turning with my left hand right now. Possibly you can see this moving slowly up to whatever position you want. Then it can be locked in that position, because that's something that an adjustment you would make during setup, not while the machine is actually cutting. Looking through this slot, and I know you're not going to be able to see it, but into the bowels of the machine there is a rather large gear, which I'm going to call the bull gear. That might even be the correct name, but that is the motion that actually moves the ram back and forth. And there's another T-slot down there, and when you loosen this bolt and nut, there's two nuts here, one here and one here, you can change the length of the stroke on the machine. Not the position of the stroke, but the length of the stroke, the same as you could on any large machine. So it has many of the features of an Atlas or a Rockford or a South Bend shaper. By using this adjustment bolt, I've made the adjustment where the ram is way out this end. Now in a moment I'm going to adjust it so it's off to the right. We can also change, I told you, the length of it. Right now we're set for a real short stroke. Now I made an adjustment so the stroke is much farther toward the rear of the machine. I just changed the length of the stroke on this little shaper. Can you notice the difference between the length now and what it was in the last segment? Back up your video if you need to compare it. These vices could be mounted at an angle or perpendicular or 90 degrees to that. They could even be mounted down here for long work. They could be held up in that position with the whole thing moved down. These machines were capable of many different operations, many of them dependent just on the ingenuity of the machinist. Not many of these machines are left. Most of them have been scrapped and turned into Chevrolets or Fords. If you have one of the little South Bends or the little Atlas lathes, you still got a pretty neat little machine. The next time you see this machine, I hope to have it operational and maybe cutting some aluminum. I don't think it's going to have a whole lot of power with that little motor on there. This is Tubalcain saying so long for now.